Paris, the city of light, home to love, art, and secrets. But on the morning of October 19, 2025, the world's most famous museum became the scene of a daring daylight heist. Jewels once worn by Napoleon's family, centuries old, priceless, irreplaceable, gone in under 3 minutes. How did the thieves outsmart the Louvre's security? Was it an inside job? And why did multiple alarms fail, even though insiders had warned of major flaws for years? This isn't fiction. This is real. And the deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. Welcome to 0 Hour Files. Today, the Louvre heist, Napoleon's vanishing jewels. It was just past 6 a.m. on October 31, 2023, when two black-clad individuals entered the Louvre's historic Richelieu wing. Surveillance footage shows them moving quickly, with clear knowledge of the building's internal layout, bypassing cameras and sensors like they'd studied the place for months. They weren't armed with guns. Their weapon was knowledge of time, silence, and blind spots. They headed straight to a private exhibition room not open to the public, a room displaying a rare collection of 18th and 19th century jewelry on loan from a French aristocratic archive. Among the items were pieces once worn by Empress Josephine, Napoleon Bonaparte's first wife, including a diamond-studded diadem and a set of emerald earrings estimated to be worth over $3 million. But perhaps the most priceless item of all, a sapphire brooch, allegedly gifted by Napoleon himself to Queen Hortense. The thieves smashed the glass cases in seconds. No alarms went off. Then they vanished. Police say the entire job took under 180 seconds. That's less time than it takes to order a coffee. Witnesses reported a black BMW with stolen plates fleeing the scene at high speed toward the Boulevard Haussmann. 10 minutes later, a car matching the description was found abandoned near Gare de Lyon. Inside, police discovered burned gloves, a cutting torch, and a burner phone with no SIM card. The car had been wiped clean. There were no fingerprints, no DNA, and no trace of the jewels. But the most chilling part? Museum security didn't even realize the pieces were missing until the museum opened at 9 a.m. That's right. The world's most visited museum had no idea that over $5 million worth of historical jewelry had been stolen for almost 3 hours. And that begs the question, was this just a heist, or something much deeper? The stolen collection wasn't just valuable, it was iconic. These weren't modern diamonds or easily replaced artifacts. They were royal heirlooms, each piece with deep ties to France's imperial history, meticulously preserved for over 2 centuries. Among the stolen items, a diamond diadem reportedly worn by Josephine during Napoleon's coronation ceremony in 1804. A pair of emerald drop earrings valued at over $1.2 million. A brooch set in sapphire and gold, traced back to Napoleon's early years of military conquest. And a delicate bracelet, engraved with the Bonaparte family crest. According to a 2022 insurance audit, the entire collection was valued at $5.6 million. But many art historians argue its cultural worth is beyond calculation. Why were these pieces targeted? Experts believe this wasn't a smash-and-grab job by amateurs. The selection was highly specific. Only imperial pieces were taken. Several valuable but less historic jewels were left behind, untouched. That suggests the thieves knew exactly what they were after. Art crime analysts point out that stealing high-profile pieces like these isn't about reselling them on the black market. They're too famous. Instead, they may be smuggled into private collections, sold to rogue buyers, or even used as leverage in underground negotiations. Interpol has flagged the incident as high risk for international trafficking. Meanwhile, museum curators and historians have been left in shock. In the words of French historian Camille Marceau, "This isn't just theft, this is cultural erasure. These pieces are part of France's soul." The Louvre, which typically displays treasures like the Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo, now faces scrutiny not for what it holds, but what it failed to protect. And that brings us to an uncomfortable truth. For most people, the Louvre conjures images of laser grids, motion detectors, and armored security, like something out of Ocean's 11. But the reality, as this heist proved, was much less glamorous and far more vulnerable. In fact, the security lapses weren't just known, they were documented. According to an investigative report by Dagens Nyheter, multiple internal warnings had been issued by staff months before the theft. Anonymous employees described malfunctioning cameras, outdated alarms, and, perhaps most shockingly, security doors that didn't lock properly. And it gets worse. The stolen jewelry was being displayed in a temporary exhibition hosted in one of the less trafficked wings of the museum, the kind of room that typically receives fewer patrols and far less public scrutiny. Sources reveal that routine overnight patrols were cut back due to budget issues. Guards were stretched thin. Some areas were monitored only by CCTV, not by humans. In short, the Louvre, the most visited museum in the world, was running on trust and tape. And the Louvre knew it. In a leaked memo from summer 2023, confirmed by DN.se, an internal audit flagged that priority improvements to glass casing integrity and early detection systems had not been implemented due to budget delays. Translation? The museum knew the jewelry was at risk and did nothing. When news of the heist broke, public outcry was swift and brutal. Critics demanded answers. How could such a prestigious institution, one tasked with protecting the cultural legacy of an entire nation, fail so catastrophically? The Louvre's official statement described the theft as a regrettable breach, but promised full cooperation with authorities. Behind closed doors, though, pressure mounted. Museum director Laurence Descartes faced intense scrutiny over resource allocation, security staff cuts, and risk management protocols. French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin ordered a national investigation into security vulnerabilities across all cultural institutions. But one question still loomed large. Was this just institutional negligence, or something even darker? Some now suspect this heist was aided by someone on the inside. Someone who knew exactly how the Louvre worked, and when it didn't. And if that's true, the theft of Napoleon's jewels may have been planned not just with precision, but with permission. Paris, 3:47 a.m. A black Mercedes speeds down the narrow Rue de Rivoli, headlights off. Inside, two masked individuals sit stone-faced, one behind the wheel, the other clutching a steel case that once belonged to Napoleon Bonaparte. The Louvre's alarm had finally triggered, but it was already too late. By the time the first patrol car arrived, the thieves were long gone. No witnesses, just an empty display case and a chilling silence where history once lived. But these weren't amateurs, and their escape had been meticulously choreographed. Within 10 minutes, police across Paris were on high alert. Surveillance cameras picked up the getaway car heading east, toward the périphérique, the ring road around the city. Authorities later revealed that the Mercedes was fitted with false license plates registered to a scrapped vehicle in Marseille. Even more impressive, or troubling, was what happened next. As police closed in, the Mercedes suddenly took an exit onto a secondary road near Montreuil, just outside city limits. There, according to official reports, it made a clean transfer to another vehicle, a white delivery van, parked and waiting in a dimly lit alley. This switch took less than 90 seconds. What followed was a textbook-level disappearance. The second vehicle, a Peugeot partner, was never found. All traffic cameras on that stretch of road had either malfunctioned or had been tampered with. Investigators would later confirm the footage showed 3 masked individuals total, not 2 as initially believed. One drove the first car, one held the case, and one, it seems, was responsible for disabling key surveillance points. Police pursued leads for weeks, scouring roads, questioning local gangs, and even tapping Interpol's Art Crimes division. But the trail ran cold. Even as French intelligence traced chatter among black market dealers in Brussels, Milan, and Prague, no reliable tip has led to the recovery of the jewels, or the identity of the thieves. By October 2024, the case was officially reclassified as open but dormant, The escape wasn't luck, it was logistics. It wasn't desperate, it was designed. These weren't thrill seekers, these were professionals, and they vanished as if they never existed. And yet, in every well-executed crime, there's always a crack. Could the key lie not in the getaway, but in the access they had to begin with? As the dust settled and the scent of burnt rubber faded from the Parisian streets, investigators were left with a disturbing question. How did the thieves know exactly when and where to strike? They avoided cameras, dodged patrols, knew exactly which door had a faulty lock, and executed the switch vehicle just outside CCTV coverage. This wasn't a lucky guess, it was insider knowledge, and very quickly all eyes turned inward. Within days of the theft, Louvre staff were brought in for questioning, particularly those connected to the temporary exhibition team. Investigators reviewed schedules, security logs, employee access cards, and even internal Slack messages. One detail stood out. An unnamed technician had been placed on paid leave just 2 weeks before the heist. His dismissal had been labeled administrative, but according to anonymous museum sources, he had repeatedly voiced frustration about staff cuts, unpaid overtime, and poor security culture. Coincidence? Maybe. But that's not all. In a whistleblower account obtained by Le Monde, an internal Louvre employee claimed that multiple access codes to the exhibition wing had not been rotated in over 6 months, violating protocol. Worse yet, 2 former guards who had recently quit cited moral burnout and a growing unease over frequent lapses and the museum's refusal to modernize its system. Whispers began to spread about maintenance workers being asked to fix cameras that were never broken, about shadowy visitors in the days before the heist, about a courier delivery to the exhibition floor that was never logged. The Louvre issued a public statement denying any knowledge of internal wrongdoing. But behind closed doors, French law enforcement began building a parallel theory, one that included at least one internal accomplice. A week after the heist, a low-level subcontractor was detained for questioning. He worked nights, had access to blueprints, and mysteriously disappeared the day after the theft, only to be located in Lyon. Authorities released him for lack of evidence. But in the world of elite art theft, lack of evidence doesn't mean innocence. It means you played your part too well. Was this subcontractor a pawn or a partner? Was he paid off or silenced? And most chilling of all, if someone inside helped the thieves get in, what else have they helped vanish without being noticed? In the world of crime, stealing a few million euros is one thing, but stealing part of a nation's identity, that's something else entirely. When news broke that Napoleon Bonaparte's personal jewels, heirlooms tied to one of the most iconic figures in European history, had vanished from the Louvre under the cover of night, the reaction wasn't just shock, it was rage. This wasn't just a robbery, it was a humiliation. The Louvre, long considered the cultural crown jewel of France, was seen as untouchable, a fortress that had protected priceless artifacts through revolutions, occupations, and wars. And now, a few thieves with a plan had made the world's most visited museum look vulnerable. The French Minister of Culture held an emergency press conference, calling the theft an assault on French heritage. President Emmanuel Macron, abroad on a state visit, was briefed within hours. Major newspapers from Le Figaro to the New York Times ran front-page stories. Art historians, political analysts, and former security consultants were invited to debate how this could have happened. And soon, the questions turned ugly. How could the Louvre allow this? Why was there no backup security? Who ignored the warnings about the faulty surveillance system? As the story unfolded, other institutions began quietly auditing their own collections. Museums in London, Berlin, and Madrid began running unpublicized reviews of high-value exhibits. But the Louvre had to respond more publicly. Within a month of the heist, the museum's director, Laurence Descartes, announced sweeping security reforms, including digital keycards, updated AI-enhanced CCTV, and overnight motion tracking on rotating displays. a major insurance payout was triggered, one of the largest art theft settlements in modern history. But money wasn't the issue. This was about trust. Tourists began to question the Louvre's integrity. Conspiracy theories spread online. Was this an elite operation with diplomatic protection? A decoy job covering for a larger breach? Was it, as one viral post claimed, a silent war for Europe's past? Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. France had lost more than jewels. It had lost face. And the haunting question remained, if Napoleon's legacy isn't safe in the Louvre, what is? Just when it seemed the trail had gone cold, the investigation into the Louvre heist took a dramatic turn. On the night of Saturday, October 25, 2025, French authorities made a critical breakthrough. 2 suspects were arrested within minutes of each other, and with that, the once elusive thieves were no longer shadows. The first arrest took place at Charles de Gaulle Airport, one of the busiest in Europe. A man believed to be directly involved in the heist was apprehended just moments before boarding a flight to Algeria. His bags had already been checked in, his ticket scanned, but what he didn't know was that plainclothes officers had been watching him for days. He never made it past passport control. Just minutes later, the second arrest occurred in Seine-Saint-Denis, a district north of Paris. The man, dual citizen of France and Algeria, was caught at a known safe house used by organized crime groups. Inside, investigators found burner phones, high-end surveillance gear, and encrypted USB drives, all of which were immediately secured as evidence. The French prosecutor's office confirmed the arrests and revealed a shocking detail. One of the suspects had previously worked in private museum logistics, meaning he likely had intimate knowledge of museum routines, artifact movement, and blind spots in security. The working theory? The robbery may not have just been opportunistic, it was surgical. According to sources, this wasn't a smash-and-grab job, it was a carefully executed, weeks-long infiltration, made possible through inside knowledge and strategic misdirection. The suspects used diversion tactics to delay response, and the escape route was mapped out with chilling precision. Right down to the Quai François Mitterrand, the road behind the museum used during the escape. At the moment of this report, neither suspect has confessed, but both are being held for interrogation. French authorities remain tight-lipped about the status of the stolen Napoleonic jewels, but anonymous sources within the investigation suggest solid leads point to an attempted international sale through a black market intermediary. Was this an isolated act by 2 men, or just the visible edge of a much larger conspiracy? The answers may still lie buried deep in encrypted messages, offshore accounts, and, perhaps, behind the storied walls of the Louvre itself. The arrests have made headlines, but they haven't solved the mystery. Despite the breakthrough, not a single jewel has been recovered. The legendary pieces once belonging to Napoleon Bonaparte's adopted daughter, Stéphanie de Beauharnais, a dazzling collection of diamonds, rubies, and emeralds, remain missing. Interpol red notices are still active across Europe. French authorities continue to follow leads, some public, many not. The OCBC, France's elite art theft division, is operating at full capacity, and museum security across the continent has quietly been upgraded. But behind the scenes, frustration grows. How can such iconic treasures just vanish, even after arrests? Art crime expert Arthur Brand, known as the Indiana Jones of the art world, believes this may be the point. He's suggested the jewels weren't meant to be sold, but used as collateral in underworld negotiations. Ransom leverage, mafia deals, political pressure. A masterpiece isn't always currency. Sometimes it's a bargaining chip. Another theory, they've already been dismantled. Each gem removed, recut, and sold individually, their imperial origin erased forever. Quietly absorbed into luxury markets that never ask too many questions. What do investigators think? Officially, they won't say. But sources suggest international efforts are still ongoing. One suspect may have escaped to North Africa. Another is believed to be hiding in southern Italy under forged documents. And the subcontractor implicated in the alarm system failure? He claims he's being framed, but his sudden departure has raised eyebrows. So far, no charges related to the jewels themselves. No confirmed location, no recovery, only silence. Meanwhile, the Louvre carries on. Tourists return. Exhibits reopen. But in a sealed archive room, deep beneath the main wing, one empty velvet stand remains. A chilling monument to what was lost. And through the marble corridors of the world's most famous museum, a single question echoes. Will the jewels ever come back? Or will they remain, like so many stolen relics, ghosts of a past too valuable to protect and too dangerous to reveal? Now we turn to you. What do you think really happened to Napoleon's jewels? Were they stolen by professionals to send a message, a warning from one criminal organization to another? Or were they part of an inside operation, orchestrated with help from someone who knew exactly how to exploit the museum's weakest point? Do you believe the jewels were quickly smuggled out of France, hidden in diplomatic pouches, shipped in fragments, or melted down into something untraceable? Or is it possible they were never meant to be sold at all, but to disappear forever as part of something even bigger? Theories range from black market collectors to geopolitical pawns in international negotiations. Some believe the jewels are already in the hands of a very powerful buyer, someone untouchable. Others think they're being used as leverage, traded not for money, but for silence, influence, or protection. And then there's the chilling idea. Maybe the thieves didn't care about the jewels' value, only what they symbolized. So we ask again, what do you believe? Leave your theories in the comments below. We read everyone, and if you want more stories like this, true crime, daring heists, and mysteries that feel stranger than fiction, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Here at 0 Hour Files, we go deeper than the headlines. And sometimes, the truth is far more unsettling than any legend. To quote Mats Fredriksson, history always leaves a trail. The question is who's brave enough to follow it.